If you want to build strength, maybe you're choosing a box squat, and everything about that exercise is catered to you individually and the goal that you have. In this video, I want to give you the most simple way to guarantee you are progressing in the gym every single week. And I say most simple because good training does not need to be that complicated. So here's the way this system works. First and foremost, you are going to pick an exercise for every single movement pattern. And the primary movement patterns we're talking about here is going to be a push, a pull, a hip hinge, and a squat pattern. A squat pattern could be anything from a split squat to a leg press. If you have low back issues, maybe you're doing a split squat or a lunge. If you don't and you want to build quad hypertrophy, maybe you're choosing a leg press or a Smith machine squat. The point is you're doing a squat pattern and you want to pick one for this system. The next one is a hip hinge. This could be any type of deadlift. You could even do a hip thrust. The point is, again, you're doing a hip hinge movement. Next, we have a push and a pull. And so for level 1, we are going to stick with only a horizontal push and pull. This could be any kind of bench press and any kind of row. For the more advanced lifter, we're also going to pick a press and a pull, which is slightly different than a push and a row because this is going to be something that we use in a vertical movement pattern. So we're going with a barbell overhead press or a seated military press and a pull down or a weighted chin up. So now when we look at our exercises, we're choosing the best exercises for a horizontal push and pull, a vertical push and pull, a squat pattern, and a hip hinge movement. From here, we need to make sure that the specific exercise we are choosing is catering to what we are after. What I mean by that is if our goal is strength, we want to choose a movement that is going to cater to the strength that we want to achieve. Now, if I want to focus on hypertrophy and building muscle, I might choose a full range of motion barbell high bar back squat or a Smith machine squat or a leg press because I can take the quads through a full range of motion of that exercise and movement pattern and really load the muscle as much as I can. And that's going to be more advantageous for hypertrophy or muscle growth. So now I'm going through these patterns and I'm making sure I'm choosing an exercise that is specific for my goals and feels good doing it. The next thing we have to focus on is making sure that this exercise we are choosing is very easy to track progressive overload with. So pick an exercise that feels good, that you know you can track the progress with week after week, no matter where you're training, and it's a movement that you have room to grow with. Next, we're going to pick a progression method or a periodization scheme. What this looks like is pretty simple. This is a short-term programming plan, not so much of a periodization plan. The reason it's a programming plan versus a periodization plan or approach is because periodization is looking at the long term. You're going through different phases throughout your training blocks, month to month, week to week, whereas programming is more on a week to week basis or a within session, within week basis. And you don't have to change the phase you're in as things go on. So my advice in this is to choose a linear progression or a double progression method. A linear progression is pretty simple. You're going to lower your reps or your volume as you increase your load or intensity. And so what this looks like is maybe week 1, you start with 10 reps on that bench press. Then you go to 8 reps on the bench press. Then week 3, you go to 6. Maybe week 4, you do 4. And then you're at the end of that scheme, you go back to 10 on week 5, which would be the start of a new block after 4 weeks of progressing. Yeah, your volume lowers because each week you're dropping 2 reps, but you can do more weight for 8 reps than you can 10. So as those reps lower and your volume drops, your intensity and your load increases and you build strength, which is going to lead to you breaking through plateaus and being able to do more volume later on. Because if you get stronger in the bench press, the next few times you go back to 10 reps, you're going to be doing more weight for 10 reps. That's going to be more volume. The next one is something I recommend more so for the accessory lifts, but you can do this for compounds too, and that's a double progression method. For this one, it's pretty simple. You're going to choose a rep range. So maybe that's 8 to 10 reps or 6 to 8 reps. And you're going to choose a weight that is pretty difficult for 8 reps on all 3 or 4 sets, whatever's in your program. Week after week, you're going to do the same weight until you can do 10 reps with that same load in that movement pattern. So maybe week 1, you do 3 sets of 8 with 200 pounds. Week 2, maybe you go 3 sets of 8, 8, 9. Maybe the next week you go 10 reps, 8 reps, 8 reps, then 10 reps, 9 reps, 8 reps. Eventually you will be able to do that weight for 3 sets of 10 reps. 10, 10, 10. That's an increase in total volume. Then we're going to either change the rep range, change the exercise, or increase the load that we are using in that rep range. And that's a double progression method. Now, the last part of this simple system to guarantee you're always progressing is to just make sure you don't change shit up too often. If you choose an exercise for these movement patterns, you're making sure that exercise is specific to your goals and you're feeling really good with those movements and those exercises. Then you choose a progression scheme. linear progression, and you're doing it week after week after week. Stick with this system and with that specific exercise for 12 to 24 weeks. But the point is if you change them out too often, you'll never progress. Part of lifting is a skill. And if you want to get stronger and do more volume with any type of movement pattern, you need to get good at that movement pattern. And that only happens from repetition. That's a wrap. This system is extremely simple. So make sure you use this, write down notes, and then go to your program and map this out. How is this going to look for 3 to 6 months? And if you struggle with that, head over to TailoredCoachingMethod.com TailoredCoachingMethod.com/guides. We have a bunch of free stuff that you can download, and some of them are ebooks that literally give you free programs and teach you how to write those programs. So if what I'm talking about makes sense, but you really don't know how to put it onto paper and take it to the gym, just head over to our guides page. We'll link it in the description of this video, and literally it will tell you exactly what to do, and it'll give you examples written on paper of how to do it, and you can just follow along and you'll be able to learn much better by applying and taking action on this versus just listening to a video and then not doing anything with it. If this helped you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, make sure you check out our next video when it drops.